All right, let's get into a topic that, honestly, no drone pilot ever wants to think about, but absolutely has to be ready for. And that is, what do you do when you have an accident? This isn't just a what-if game. It's about having a rock-solid, professional plan for when things go sideways.
I mean, just think about it for a second. That question alone can kind of make your stomach drop, right? Picture it, that sudden, awful silence. Then the impact. What's the very first thing that should pop into your head? Knowing that answer isn't just, good to know. It can literally change everything about what happens next. And look, the stakes here are way higher than you might think. We're not just talking about a busted-up drone. An accident can spiral into some really serious legal trouble. You could be facing criminal charges, for negligence. Then there are the civil lawsuits for any damage caused. And on top of all that, you've got administrative actions, the kind that could put your pilot certification on the line. So having a clear procedure, it's not just about safety. It's about being a responsible pilot, plain and simple. So, to make this super clear, we're going to walk through a simple 4-part mental checklist. We'll start with the immediate response, then cover the official report, talk about the financial side of things, and finally wrap it up with the prepared pilot's mindset.
All right, first up, the immediate response. Let's talk about what you need to do in those first, absolutely crucial minutes right at the scene. This is where having a plan really, really pays off. Okay, in the middle of all that chaos, you need a simple, logical sequence. And here it is. Step 1, always human safety. Forget the drone for a second. Are there any injuries? That's your number 1 priority. Step 2, then you secure the aircraft. You got to prevent any more danger, whether that's traffic issues or, a potential battery fire. And finally, step 3 is to preserve your records, protect those flight logs. So remember that order: people, then drone, then data. It's a simple mantra that will keep your head straight. Okay, so you've handled the immediate scene, everything's safe. Now your official responsibilities kick in. This is the part where you go from being a first responder to a responsible operator. Now, who do you call? Well, depending on how bad things are, you might need to get the police or the fire department on the line right away. But, and this is the big one for us pilots, there's a legal requirement to report certain incidents to the Minister of Land, Infrastructure, Transport, and Tourism, or the MLIT. That's not a suggestion, it's a legal obligation. So that begs the question, right? What exactly triggers this mandatory report to the government? Because it's not for every little bump or scrape. The law is super specific about this, breaking it down into 2 categories: a reportable accident and a serious incident. Let's take a look at what those mean. Okay, this table right here, you should probably burn this into your brain. It lays out the exact legal lines you need to know. First, you've got an accident. That's the most severe stuff. We're talking about death or serious injury, damage to someone else's property, or actually hitting or touching another aircraft. Then you have a serious incident. It's a step down, but guess what? Reporting is still mandatory. This covers things like a near miss, a non-serious injury, losing control of your drone, or even a fire while you're in the air. Knowing the difference here isn't just for a test. It's a fundamental part of your legal duty as a pilot. All right, let's switch gears and talk about money. Specifically, how to protect yourself from the massive financial hit an accident can cause. Because being prepared isn't just about procedures, it's about having a financial shield. And here's a really important difference I want you to get. Think about cars. You have to have liability insurance to drive, right? It's the law. Well, with drones, that's not the case. It's almost always voluntary. And what that means is that the responsibility to be financially ready for a disaster, it falls squarely on your shoulders. Nobody's going to make you get it, but believe me, if something goes wrong, you will desperately wish you had. And this right here, this is the why. The financial burden in an emergency is large. I mean, just let that sink in. Can you even imagine what a lawsuit for property damage, or worse, a personal injury, would cost? We're talking about numbers that could literally change your life forever, from fixing stuff to just paying the lawyers. This quote says it all. Insurance isn't just a nice to have, it's pretty much the only way to manage that kind of massive financial risk. So what kind of options are we talking about? Well, generally there are a couple of main types. You've got aircraft insurance, which basically covers damage to your drone, to protect your investment. But the one that's really crucial is liability insurance. That's the one that covers damage you do to other people or their stuff. A lot of policies will bundle them together. The bottom line is you've got to look at how you fly and find a plan that actually fits the risks you're taking. Okay, let's tie all of this together with our last point. the prepared pilot's mindset. Because honestly, all of these checklists and insurance policies are built on the most important tool you have, your own attitude and sense of responsibility. And this quote really says it all. It is more important to avoid a dangerous situation beforehand than to overcome it. That's the whole game right there. Knowing what to do after an accident, that's your safety net. But it's not the goal. The real goal is prevention. All those pre-flight checks, checking the weather, planning your flight path, that's all about making sure you never, ever have to use the stuff we just talked about.
So I'll leave you with this one question to think about. You now have a checklist for what to do after an accident. But is your pre-flight preparation just as solid? Because having a plan for the worst-case scenario is what separates a good pilot from a great one. It proves you've thought through the whole job. So is your prevention plan as good as your reaction plan? Because that level of thinking is what makes you truly ready for whatever the sky has in store.